What if behind every breathtaking woman you've ever seen, there was not purity, not innocence, but a wild, untamed force, a storm cloaked in velvet? Men don't fall for beauty, they fall into it. Beauty is not a gift. It is a battlefield dressed as a garden. And the most dangerous wars are the ones you enter willingly, smiling. You do not conquer her. You orbit her, like a moth to the flame. Nietzsche knew this. He called beauty a mask, not a revelation, but a deception. The golden surface conceals chaos, and in that chaos men drown. History is not shaped by virtue, it is shaped by obsession, delusion, and desire disguised as devotion. Let me ask you something. If these words strike something in your chest, if they echo something you've lived but couldn't name, then don't let this end here. Subscribe now. Be part of this revolt against illusions. Let's build something that shakes foundations, not just algorithms. Together, we can reach 10,000 souls who are ready to wake up. 1. Click, and you're not alone in this anymore. Helena of Troy did not launch 1,000 ships because she was virtuous. No, it was the fire beneath her skin, the promise of danger veiled in beauty, that drove men mad. She was not a symbol of love, but of rupture. Desire was her kingdom, and every man who stepped into it left something behind. His reason, his pride, his empire. Men don't fall for women, they fall for what they project onto them. Dreams, fears, unmet hunger. Jean Duval, the poison Baudelaire drank daily, didn't destroy him with daggers or betrayal, but with presence. Her silence said more than any seduction manual. She was contradiction wrapped in perfume, muse and executioner. That is the true face of beauty, not comforting but corrosive, not divine but demonic in its capacity to expose every crack in a man's soul. And yet, men keep stepping into the fire. Why? Because they still believe the lie, that beauty equals goodness, that a soft smile means safety. But that's the bait, not the salvation. A 2013 study showed that men trust attractive women even when all logic says they shouldn't. It's a biological trap, a glitch in the code of evolution. And if you've ever ignored red flags just because of a curve, a glance, a voice that tasted like velvet, you know what I'm saying. If this feels like a mirror, if your blood is moving faster than it was a minute ago, then I'm talking to you. Subscribe now. Be part of this rebellion against ancient instincts. Let's make this message echo louder than the lies. I need you. Yes, you. Your mind, your click, your voice in the comments. Let's burn illusions together. Nietzsche never feared beauty. He feared man's reaction to it. To him, beauty was not an angel, but a test. And most men fail it, not because they are weak, but because they refuse to see. They think they are choosing her, pursuing her, winning her. But in truth, they are being selected, observed, measured. And when they place her gaze above their own purpose, the game ends, and they lose. A woman does not need armies or crowns, she only needs your attention. And once she has that, she holds the strings. You smile, thinking you're in control, but your soul has already shifted. You've become an actor in her play, in a play she doesn't even know she's directing. The predator in this case isn't hunting, she's just being. And that's what makes her dangerous. Let's be clear, this is not about blaming her. It's about facing yourself. The chaos isn't in her, it's in you. She is the mirror that reflects your hunger for validation, your fear of solitude, your longing to be seen. And the world is full of men who confuse that reflection with truth. But truth doesn't seduce you. It breaks you. It humbles you. So ask yourself, are you free, or are you just reacting, obeying the ancient code that says, prove yourself, impress her, win her? If this hits you like a slap, good. That's the point. Let's make this message undeniable. Subscribe now. Share this with a brother who's been lost in her eyes. Let's wake each other up, word by word, truth by truth. Do you think you're immune? That your mind, your reason, your logic can shield you? Then let me tell you about a study from the University of Texas. Men were asked to perform simple tasks in the presence of an attractive woman. She didn't speak, didn't flirt, just existed. The result? Their cortisol levels surged, decision-making crumbled, performance dropped. And why? Because beauty, even in silence, hijacks the nervous system. It's not about seduction, it's about presence. The mere existence of a certain kind of woman triggers something prehistoric, a call to arms, a primal urgency, a war within the self. And the most terrifying part? She doesn't even know. She walks through the room like wind through a forest, and the trees fall without her lifting a finger. You were not taught to recognize this. You were taught to chase, to conquer, but you were never taught that some fires are not meant to be entered, only respected from afar. And when you confuse the flame for the path, you don't walk forward, you burn. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He didn't see women as villains. He saw men as sleepwalkers, blind to their own scripts, deaf to their own inner chaos. And if these words wake something inside you, a memory, a scar, a moment you surrendered without understanding why, then don't let it pass. Subscribe now. This space is for those ready to confront the beast within, not just blame the beauty outside. Your attention is power. Use it where it awakens you, not where it drains you. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism, the one who claimed to see through the veils of the world, collapsed before a soprano who barely acknowledged him. She didn't seduce him. She didn't promise him anything. But his mind, intoxicated by his own projections, turned silence into signals, indifference into invitation. He saw what he needed, not what was real. And so he fell. This is not an isolated tragedy, it's a pattern, a ritual. A man confronts a woman, and instead of seeing her, he sees his salvation. Not because she offered it, but because he begged for it. That's the true blindness, not to her but to oneself. When you need her to make you whole, you have already shattered. And science confirms it. A simple smile, just that, nothing more, can be interpreted by the male brain as sexual interest, even when it's just politeness. From there, the fantasy unfolds. Every glance becomes a green light, every silence a mystery to solve. Every Noah may be in disguise, but she's not playing a game. You are. You've built a labyrinth in your own mind, and every step deeper feels like destiny. It isn't. It's delusion. If this feels like your story, even just once, then I invite you, not as a guru, not as a teacher, but as a fellow fool who has burned. Subscribe. Let's speak the truths no one dares. Let's pull the masks off even if it hurts, especially if it hurts. There is a kind of ruin reserved for the man who is loved too much, not with cruelty but with worship. A woman who wraps her world around you does not build you a throne. She builds you a cage. At first it feels divine. She calls you her god, her hero, her center, and your ego drinks it like nectar. But then comes the weight, the expectations, the silent demands. You are no longer free to falter, to retreat, to be flawed. You become a symbol, not a man, and symbols are not allowed to break. Nietzsche saw this trap clearly. He lived it with his own sister, Elizabeth, who adored him, then betrayed him, not out of malice, but out of devotion that sought to control, to rewrite, to reshape him into something usable. Her love did not preserve him, it violated him. The same happens in relationships where the woman clings not out of love, but out of need. Studies show that men with extremely dependent partners experience chronic stress at levels comparable to soldiers in war zones, not because of shouting, but because of the quiet, suffocating pressure to be everything, always, to never falter, to be strong, happy, stable, not for yourself, but for her. And over time, it eats you from within. This is not a story of villains, it's a story of illusions, the ones we welcome because they flatter us. But flattery is just another form of anesthesia. If any of this reflects your experience, if you've ever felt crushed beneath someone's devotion, speak, subscribe, comment. This isn't therapy, it's revolution. Friedrich Hölderlin, the poet who touched the divine with his verses, was adored by Suzette Gontard, his muse, his son, his silent executioner. She called him a demigod, fed his genius with adoration until it swelled beyond human proportion. But what feeds a man's art can also consume his soul. The same hands that lifted him to the heights tethered him to a fantasy he could never escape. He spent decades alone, broken, whispering poems to a ghost he could no longer face. This is what happens when love becomes altar and man becomes idol. It is not cruelty that destroys him. It is the unbearable weight of being someone else's idea of perfection. Modern psychology doesn't need poetry to confirm this. Chronic emotional pressure from idealizing partners leads to identity erosion, emotional shutdown, even physiological decline. When your worth is measured by how well you perform a role, lover, savior, anchor, you slowly vanish. And here lies Nietzsche's most painful truth: the love that doesn't see you as you are, but as it needs you to be, is a beautiful form of annihilation. If you've ever felt your edges blur in someone else's dream, then you know what I'm talking about. Subscribe now. Let's speak the unspeakable. Let's liberate those crushed under the weight of adoration disguised as love. To Nietzsche, salvation never came from rejection, but from mastery. He didn't preach the denial of love or the avoidance of beauty. He demanded that we dominate them without becoming their slaves. The truly free man, he wrote, is not the one who escapes the fire, but the one who dances in it and does not burn. He sees the woman, loves her, desires her, and yet remains intact. He does not beg for her gaze, does not twist himself to fit her need, does not trade his destiny for her affection. He admires her form but does not collapse into it. This is not detachment. It is transcendence. A man who knows who he is does not lose himself in anyone, no matter how luminous. The Greeks had a word for this rare balance: eudaimonia, not shallow happiness, but deep flourishing. It means living so fully that no one becomes your axis. Not even the most radiant, the most magnetic, the most divine woman. You love her because you choose to, not because you must. You share your life, but you never hand over the keys to your kingdom. That is the highest form of freedom. That is what Nietzsche called the overman, the one who shapes his fate rather than kneels before it. If this vision ignites something in you, subscribe now. Let's build a tribe of men who don't run from fire but become it. Your click is a strike against the empire of need. Freedom begins where honesty begins, and that honesty must be brutal. It starts when you look into your own hunger and admit, I don't want her. I want to be seen by her. That's the root. That's the rot. You crave not her body, but the validation her attention gives you, the compliment beneath the kiss, the reassurance beneath the smile. It's not lust, it's need. And that need is a prison, because every time you define yourself by how she sees you, you hand her the blade. And not because she's cruel, but because you've forgotten how to stand alone. Nietzsche knew, the man who lives for a gaze dies by its absence, and so many men today are already ghosts, haunting relationships where they gave away the right to their own reflection. This is the quiet death, not with screams but with slow suffocation. You become her mirror, her emotional mule, her project, her pedestal, and the more she builds you up, the more you vanish, piece by piece, until one day you look in the mirror and see a stranger. That's what happens when love replaces self, when affection becomes oxygen. And here's the horror. Most men prefer this. They'd rather be needed than be free. But if you're not like most men, if you feel the scream behind the silence, then join us, subscribe, break the mirror, reclaim your form. This isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming whole. Nietzsche's final lesson wasn't resistance, it was acceptance, not of weakness, but of fate. He called it amor fati, the love of one's destiny, not resignation, but fierce affirmation. To love the chaos, the trials, the burning. To laugh while standing at the edge of the abyss, not because you're fearless, but because you finally realize the abyss cannot swallow you if you no longer cling to its edge. The woman may be divine, irresistible, wild, but she is no longer your god. You no longer orbit. You no longer kneel. You walk beside her, never beneath. And if she leaves, you do not crumble. You bless her departure as you blessed her arrival, because nothing owns you anymore, not beauty, not love, not even the longing for either. This is not just strength, it is serenity sharpened into sword. The man who walks this path becomes untouchable, not by hiding but by seeing everything clearly and still choosing to stand tall. He's not cold, he's not numb, he feels deeply, loves fiercely, but never loses himself in the fire. He remains himself, and that is a rare, sacred power. If this image speaks to your soul, if you feel the call to become that man, then subscribe. This isn't a channel, it's a battlefield for the soul. Your voice is needed, your mind is weapon. Together, we rise not against women, but against our own illusions. This is not war, this is awakening. In the end, the choice is always yours. Will you be the man who worships beauty, who fears it, or the one who transcends it? Will you keep handing your peace to every passing smile, or will you finally claim your soul back? The world is not short of beautiful women. It's starving for men who are no longer enslaved by them. Men who see clearly, who love bravely, who walk without begging to be chosen. The message is not to avoid love, but to meet it as a sovereign, not a beggar. To love without chains, to desire without dissolving, to face the sacred and remain whole. That's the man Nietzsche saw in visions. That's the man the world desperately needs now. So if these words found your heart, not your comfort but your courage, then take this seriously. Subscribe, like, comment, not as a ritual, but as a rebellion. Let's reach 10,000 men who are ready to wake up, who are tired of performing, who are hungry for truth, no matter how sharp. I promise you, this echo will return, in strength, in clarity, in blessings disguised as pain. Speak to me in the comments. How has this truth struck you? What inside you broke open as you listened? I want to hear your story. We walk this path together, and this is just the beginning.